Imagine a story told around a fire so many times that the embers seem to know when to flare. Each retelling shapes the tale, smooths a rough edge, tacks on a new boast, trims a thorn. By the time the smoke clears, what was once a simple account of an event has become a myth. Not merely falsehood or mere entertainment, but a living thing that explains, instructs, legitimizes. Today we explore the mechanics of myth-making, the quiet forces that allowed certain stories to survive and to evolve across generations, cultures, and continents. At the heart of every enduring myth is pattern recognition. Human brains are wired to find meaning in sequences. When a story groups cause and effect into a satisfying arc, a hero's journey, a descent into chaos and rise to order, a cautionary spiral of hubris, it fits our mental templates. These templates act like filters. A tale that resonates with deep cognitive archetypes becomes easier to remember and easier to transmit. The result is selection. Narratives that match our psychological predispositions are amplified, while others fade. Linked to pattern is emotion. Emotion is storytelling's fuel. Fear sharpens memory. Awe etches detail. Myths often dramatize existential anxieties, death, scarcity, social betrayal, but they also deliver catharsis and meaning. A community that has weathered drought will cling to stories that explain rain or punish greed. A people negotiating identity will preserve origin myths that bind them together. Emotion raises a story's transmission rate. A myth that stirs the heart will be retold not out of obligation, but because it feels necessary. Myths are also practical tools. They codify behavior and enforce norms. Consider a seemingly fantastical tale about a trickster punished for stealing. Beyond the spectacle, it teaches about property, reciprocity, and consequence. Myths condense complex social rules into memorable narratives, making compliance easier across generations. In societies with limited formal institutions, myths function as law, school, and therapy all at once. Their survival often depends on utility. If a story helps a group survive or cooperate, it acquires longevity. Authority amplifies myths. When leaders, priests, or elders deploy a story to legitimize power, it acquires institutional backing. Rituals and monuments embedded in daily life. Texts and art fix certain versions, but even then myths remain flexible. Adaptations allow leaders to twist them to suit new needs without losing the venerable aura that commands obedience. This dynamic explains why origin myths or sacred genealogies are rarely static. They are edited to justify new claims to authority while retaining the past's sanctity. Transmission mechanisms matter as well. Oral cultures rely on repetition and communal performance, which selects for concise, vivid imagery and formulas that aid recall. Repetitive refrains, rhythmic structures, stock epithets. Literate cultures preserve variance in writing, but printing and later mass media standardize some versions while marginalizing others. Each medium favors certain story elements. Oral traditions prize adaptability. Manuscripts preserve detail. Broadcast media demand compression and spectacle. The myth that survives is the one that fits the medium of its age. Finally, myths evolve through creative appropriation. Stories cross borders, mingle with local beliefs, and hybridize. A god becomes a saint, a hero a cautionary archetype. A motif migrates across languages. This recombination is not random. Successful hybrids resolve cultural tensions and speak to new audiences. In this sense, myths behave like living organisms, recombining traits that enhance their transmissibility. When we trace these mechanics together, cognitive templates, emotional potency, social utility, authoritative reinforcement, transmission media, and creative recombination, a pattern emerges. Myths survive not because they are true, but because they are adaptive. They organize thought, strengthen bonds, justify structures, and entertain all at once. Understanding myth-making does more than satisfy curiosity. It reveals how narratives shape identity and power, how memory is selective, and how meaning migrates. The next time you hear a familiar tale retold, listen for the invisible forces at work, the architecture that made it memorable, the needs it served, and the hands that reshaped it. In that moment, you are witnessing not only a story, but the ongoing craft of culture itself.